Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. A little bit kind of that time of year where we're working on projects, trying to get equipment up and going for next season, all that good stuff. So we got the old 1086 here. I've got a few things to do with it this winter. It's got a leak in the steering pump, I'm assuming. It's got a hydraulic valve that needs to be rebuilt, and we are going to put a new headliner in it. I've had the headliner since the spring and just haven't taken the time or had the time to do it. So I figured today we'd come down here, at least take the old headliner out. This will probably be pretty well a two-part video. So I'll finish it whenever I go to finish it, but the goal for the day is to take the old one out. As you can see, it's falling out, and I've had stuff stuffed in it ever since I bought it, trying to keep the headliner up in it, but it is pretty well has decided to just completely give out, and it's falling down in the back, in the front, everywhere. So we're just gonna go ahead and take it out, strip everything down, put all the screws in the bag so we don't lose them, and just completely take this thing apart. I don't plan on using this thing much this winter because I've got the John Deere over there to take hay out and stuff with. So we've got time to strip this thing down and do what we need to do with it, and do it right. So with that, probably won't be much on taking it down. It's a lot of just taking screws loose and pulling stuff down, but we'll video a little bit of it, and then when we go to put the new one up, we'll finish it. So we'll get started. Alright, so I'm going to start, put my hood up so hopefully can avoid a lot of this stuff, because I'm assuming it's probably going to be messy. We're going to start taking all these plates off and stuff, and I'm sure I'll pull all these screws out, but I'm sure I'll have to pop these knobs off too before I can get this thing completely took off. And hopefully all these screws are the same length, to make it easier of knowing how to put stuff back on. That, or I'll just have to re-watch this video. So we taking all these off for the fan controls, and I don't know, I think these just pop off. But I'm not 100% sure either. Looks like they've got little nuts on them, so I might have to get a wrench. So looks like that just popped off. So that's what I'm working on, pulling these off. So yeah, looks like those hopefully will just pop off, but I think there's a nut here that I'll have to take off too to get that to stay in there, so I'll have to undo all the wires and stuff. So we'll have to grab a wrench real quick and we'll get that. Hopefully, I can't see real good on the camera. Hopefully that'll sit. Anyhow, we got these, got the knobs popped off with a screwdriver, and we got these nuts loosened up. So we're just gonna pull those the rest of the way off. I'm gonna need both hands here. Alright, we got those popped off. Put those in our bag here. Now, the only thing we should have to undo now is this refrigerant pressure switch light. So we're just gonna get these popped through, unplug that light, and we'll have this piece off. One thing, I'm gonna have to take a picture of this, or a video. Well, yeah. So the black gets hooked up on the other side there, and then this wire here gets hooked up there. So if I don't do that now, forget about it, and then I'll be wondering where those wires go. So I'm having trouble getting this one to go through, but we'll tap on it a little bit more. We should be able to get it. Oh, I tell you, this is the nastiest stuff. Anybody that's been in these tractors know exactly. This foam is so old, just disintegrates. Just gets everywhere. So, about got that piece ripped out, and I get that finished getting ripped out, and we'll bring the shop back in here and start vacuuming all this stuff. And then what we'll end up doing is taking a wire wheel and making sure to get all this extra stuff off of here. We've got a few more pieces of plastic to take down. And then once we get it all prepped up, then we'll be able to put the new stuff up in here. It's not taking as long as what I kind of figured, but it is going to take a little while to get all this prepped up for the new stuff. So we'll see how far we get with it today. Alright, so I got all of that taken out. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking the grinder with the wire wheel on it, and I'm just going over this. It's what they say to do, but I do have the ProForm or Preform headliner. It doesn't get glued in here, so I feel like the whole grinding deal, like, yes, it's nice to get all this stuff out of here, but it doesn't have to be super clean like it would if you went with the cheaper headliner, where you actually have to glue the foam back up in here. Obviously then you'd want to make sure you get everything completely clean, so that the glue would stick. But I'm still trying to get as much as I can. Obviously there's a bunch of crud here. I don't really want this stuff sitting in here and then working its way through the headliner and falling down and all that stuff. So we're going to get as much as we can with the wire wheel. It's just I don't feel that it's super important to get everything completely bare, like you would if you're gonna have to glue something in here. So it kind of depends on which headliner you go with, but I went with the one that's a little more expensive but a lot less work. So that's what we're doing. All right, so we've got all this cleaned up. Ended up using just a little hand brush to get around all this stuff. Like I said, I'm not really worried about getting it super clean, because I'm not gluing anything in. This ProForm Fit headliner, it's already made to fit up in here, and then all this stuff just holds it together. So I'm not concerned with that part of it. Now if I was doing the regular headliner where you actually glue the foam back up in here like what was in here before, I would do as good of a job as I could with taking the grinder around all this stuff and getting any of this stuff taken loose. So not really worried about it. But so we're all prepped up. We're ready to stick this thing back together. Depending on what time it is, I might do it today. It's kind of gone faster than I thought it would. But it'll be time to feed here in a little bit. And I need to take care of some cows and do some things with that. So I'm going to go get it, and then I'm going to look at it, and then I'm going to decide what I want to do. I am thinking about putting new speakers and radio in here, so I might just hold off on it for a bit and take them speakers out and maybe go to town and see if I can find some cheap ones at Walmart that are the same size. That's going to kind of be my trick, though, is having to find ones that are the same size as these. I'm not real sure if they're standard speakers like you find in your car and truck and all that stuff, so I might have to order those online. But I would like to go ahead and replace some of that stuff while I'm in here, just to make it a little bit nicer, because why not? I really want to replace the radio. I'm kind of debating on what to do with that, because I have a regular truck radio that I can stick in here, but the only issue with that is that it requires me to cut this plastic piece that goes over the plastic one, because the new one would take this whole bit up instead of just this little piece right here. I hate doing that because this stuff is not cheap to buy the OEM style plastics. So I'm still debating on what to do there. I might try to do some kind of alternative. This radio still works, so maybe I'll try to do some kind of alternative for now, until I finally get the gumption up to maybe cut that out. Or you can buy an aftermarket radio that fits in here that comes with the plastic, but it's kind of pricey. So we'll see what I decide to do with that. But I don't really want to rush this, just so that I have time to kind of look at this other stuff. I'll have to take the top off and get down in here and unhook all this stuff to kind of see what's going on. So we're going to do that before we put the new one back in here. Plus, there's no rush to do it. I don't need the tractor right now, so it's fine to sit where it's at without the headliner in it for a minute until I figure the rest of it out. So we will catch back in this video when I get all that stuff, and we'll show you putting the headliner back in here. When I come back. Alright, well, we're back on day number 2 of putting this new headliner in. I think this should be, I'm not going to say very quick, because I can put all the screws back in, but it should not be that big of a deal. So here is the headliner. As you can see, it's already glued on to the foam. It's got this like plastic fiberglass backing, so it holds its shape already. So we've got to put, I'm gonna lay this down. We've got a piece of foam here that we've got to attach. There's some tape already on here. Let's pull that off and lay that piece on here, match it up with the holes. Now I'm gonna grab that. It's in the cab real quick. So we got this piece here. So it's going to sit just like this. And this is the piece, a new piece, but the piece that we pulled out that was set in the middle, fills all that space up and everything like that. So we're going to get this lined up, and I'm going to pull this tape off, and we'll get that stuck on there, and then we'll get up in the cab and start getting this thing attached. Alright, so I guess we can start on this edge right here. It's just like double-sided tape, so it's backing off. this up. The easiest way is just to line all of these holes up here. Make sure we're good. Alright. And of course it's foam, so it's movable if it's not perfect. But we'll stick that down in there. Kind of press that down to that tape. And then we'll go over here. And we have a piece in the middle and a piece on the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this middle piece. Pull it back. And grab this edge piece. Pull it back. We'll set that down there. Grab this edge piece. And go ahead and fully pull this middle piece out. And then the last piece is this on the edge here. That pulled off. And then we'll make sure we're still lined up good. And then we'll press it all down and get it all nice and firmly seated in there. Check my alignment. Looks like we're still pretty good. So we're just going to press this into that tape. There we go. So we got that. Now we'll get it up in the cab and we'll start getting everything screwed in and reattached. That's a little bit different with this one. You know, the one that isn't the ProForm. You have to glue all this stuff back into the headliner and then glue all your pieces back together. This is so much simpler. It's definitely, in my opinion, it's worth the extra cost. And if I ever do another one, I will do the same exact thing. So we're going to get this up in there and start working on getting it attached. Alright, so we're got back in the cab here. Got this in here. Obviously it's sitting on my head at the moment. But I just wanted to kind of talk through what I was going to do. And then I'll set the camera down and try to let you watch while I'm putting it up. But there's two little push pin type deals that come in the kit, and so what we'll do is there's a tab on each side. We'll put those up and push them up into place, and that'll hold it until we can start getting screws back into things and all these trim pieces on. And so once we get this pushed up in here, then we'll start putting all these pieces that we took off, get it put back together, and hopefully be good to go. And I decided a couple things, but I'll talk through that in just a moment. We'll try to get this thing at least push pinned up in here. dropped you. Alright. So hopefully you can see this alright. So we've got that stuck up in there. Got a few things started as far as screwing it in. I did that just to help hold it up. So I went ahead and started the light in here, which I've got to leave this thing because it don't work, but that's okay. And then I've got the circulation vent control put in there, and that's pretty well what's holding it up in there now, along with those push pins on the sides. And then I've got this back piece, got it under that, so we'll get the screws started on that, and then we'll get the front piece, or the edges that bolt up here and holds the edges in, and then the front piece, and then we'll start putting all of this stuff back together. So I'm going to leave the speakers out for now. Here's the old ones. One of them's factory, one of them's not, if you can't tell. It didn't work. They didn't work very well. So, Allstate Parts has a new set that are, I guess, OEM style, so aftermarket probably, I'm guessing. They're brand new, so yeah. That plug and fit right up in here like they're supposed to. So they're like 50 bucks for the pair, so I'm gonna get those just because I don't want to deal with any kind of like aftermarket junk that won't fit up in here right, and I just want to do it right. So same thing with the radio. I'm contemplating taking it out and replacing it with an aftermarket radio. I'm gonna hold off on that for now, because there is, I forget what company makes it, but they do make a aftermarket radio that has Bluetooth and all that is plug and play, and even has the plastic cover that fits it just right. So instead of messing with trying to rewire things and cutting a hole out bigger on my OEM cover, I'm just going to leave that there for now, and then we'll maybe order that here in a couple months, and we'll install that at a later date. So that's staying for now. This, I need to see if it's the bulb that's bad or if it's the switch. I kind of have a feeling it's the switch, but we'll look at that later as well. Other than that, we should be good. So we're gonna just work on getting all the trim pieces put back on, and trying to remember what screws went where. But hopefully, since I did this yesterday, I'll halfway remember how everything goes. But no guarantee. So, but anyhow, so yeah, this is really nice. I'm really happy with it. It looks super clean. It fits in here great, and I'm really happy with it. So if you're interested in getting one, I got this one from Fehr Interiors. They have the ProForm and the regular ones. I think they also have cab kits, which I would like to eventually redo the cab in here as well and put the Western pattern in here. It's got the burgundy for now, which is fine, but you know, it's showing age. It's starting to peel up, and then of course where I replaced my door after I wrecked this thing, it doesn't match. It's black, so it doesn't match the rest of it, and it's just getting old and worn out, and so I want to replace it. But that's going to be a project for a different day. For right now, the headliner was the important part because it was falling down, and it was a mess. So that's what we got. Like I said, I'll drop a link in the description for where you can get one of these. It's not promoted or anything, but I think it's a good product, so I'm happy to put that out there. So with that, we're gonna finish getting all this up, and we'll touch base when we get it all done. Alright, well, we've got it all screwed back up in here. Got all the trim on the sides and the back and the front vents, all that screwed back in. Radio covers, all the switches. Like I said earlier, I'm ordering some new speakers, so I'm just leaving that open because no sense in putting that on until I get some new speakers in here. And I'll eventually put a new radio, but probably won't be until sometime later this next year. might be next winter project, who knows. So anyhow, like that'll be afterthought there. We'll deal with it later. So that, and then I've got my window visors that I need to clean up, and those will get bolted back up in there. I did not realize, but I've got an extra nut that goes on one of these switches, and I noticed when I went to put the switches back on that one of these already had a nut on it, and I was like, oh, I don't know why that's on there. I probably put it on there and didn't realize it. So I took it off and then realized that it has one on the inside and the outside. Don't really know why, but it does, and it's probably going to bother me that I took that off, but it doesn't serve any purpose, I don't think. I don't guess. But who knows, when I go to put the speakers in, maybe I'll take it back off and put that nut in there. But this light does not work, so I do have to figure that out. I don't know if it's a switch or if it's the bulb. The bulb looks fine, but you know how that goes, so it very well could be the switch. Not super worried about it right now. That can be we can tackle that when we get the speakers or the radio put in. But let me get you a better view of it. So there we go. Hopefully you can see a little bit better now. It looks a heck of a lot better than it did before. So I'm happy with it. I think it turned out really good. I really like this headliner. I couldn't imagine trying to glue all that back up in there, and I probably would have screwed it up so many times. It had so many wrinkles in it, and then my luck, where it's kind of cooler out, the foam wouldn't have even stuck to the glue, and probably would have been a whole ordeal, and then a year later it probably would have been falling down again. So very happy with it, and like I said, I feel like that ProForm headliner from Fehr or Fehr, or however you say the name, is definitely the way to go. Even though it is a touch more expensive, I think it's worth it. If you're going to go through the trouble of putting a new headliner in, might as well spend a few extra dollars and get the one that works better, in my opinion at least. So yeah, so hope y'all enjoyed that. We've got some other projects that we'll be working on. Like I said, the steering is got a leak in it. I don't know if it's external or internal on the pump, but we're going to get that figured out. And then we have a hydraulic valve that I'm guessing probably needs to be rebuilt. That, or it has some kind of relief valve issue. It won't let the pressure off of it, and it whines a lot whenever you're driving, because I think it's not releasing the pressure like it should. So we gotta get that done. And then of course we've got some hay baler maintenance that we're gonna have to do. These hydraulic cylinders have to bolt on both sides, need new seals in them. So we'll try to tackle that, and yeah, just picking away at it. It's almost today is the very end of December, so we're almost back up into 2025, and before you know it, hay season will be back here again, and we'll be rocking and rolling. So anyhow, appreciate y'all hanging around, and we'll see you next time.